about the global study on children deprived of liberty from the links that are shared on my channel. A new global study on children deprived of liberty should prompt United Nations member countries to take steps to dramatically decrease the number of children detained and confined. A group of non-governmental organizations, 170 of them, said today in New York on October 7th, 2019. Manfred Nowak, a UN independent expert, will present the UN Global Study on Children Deprived of Liberty to the UN General Assembly in New York on October 8, 2019. He found that approximately 1.5 million children are deprived of liberty each year. He says, children are often detained illegally, unnecessarily, and at great cost to their health and future, said Alex Camarados, director of the Defense of Children International and co-chair of the NGO panel for the Global Study of Children Deprived of Liberty. The global study should prompt every country to adopt new policies and practices to dramatically decrease the number of children who are locked up. The study examined the situation of children, anyone under 18, detained in the administration of justice, in immigration detention, in orphanages, and other institutions, living in prisons with their caregivers, and detained in the context of armed conflict and national security. The global study's estimate of at least 1.5 million children deprived of liberty is most likely a substantial undercount due to the uneven data collection and reporting. Some of the study's key findings that at least 410,000 children are held every year in jails and prisons where violence is endemic. Many are charged with status offenses, which are not criminal offenses for adults, including truancy, disobedience, and underage drinking, although UN experts have concluded that detention of children for migration-related reasons can never be in the best interests of the child. At least 330,000 children in 77 countries are held in immigration detention each year, while between 430,000 and 680,000 children have been placed by judicial authorities in institutions that meet the legal definition of deprivation of liberty. The total number of children in institutions is estimated at 3.5 to 5.5 million. Children with disabilities are significantly overrepresented in detention in the context of administration of justice and institutions. The number of children detained in the context of armed conflict and national security has increased sharply, driven by aggressive counterterrorism measures that include detention and prosecution of children for online activity, including posts on Facebook and Twitter. The study found that deprivation of liberty aggravates the existing health conditions in children and can cause new ones to emerge, including anxiety, depression, suicidal thoughts, and post-traumatic stress. Psychiatric disorders for children in detention can increase tenfold during detention, and detention is correlated with early death among children once released. Detention is fundamentally harmful to children. Many countries use it as their first response to difficult circumstances rather than last, said Joe Becker, Child Rights Advocacy Director for Human Rights Watch and co-chair of the NGO panel. Governments should invest in alternatives that not only protect children's rights, but produce much better outcomes for children, families, and societies overall. Nowak found that in some areas of progress, including reduction in some countries in the number of the children in institutional care or detained in the criminal justice system, at least 21 governments said that they do not detain children for migration-related purposes. Some countries have adopted formal protocols to avoid detaining children in the context of armed conflict, and that the non-governmental groups urge all countries to examine and adapt the good practices documented in the study. Nowak recommended that states most rigorously apply the Convention on Human Rights of the Child, which requires that deprivation of liberty shall be applied only as a measure of last resort in exceptional cases. He urged countries to make all efforts to significantly reduce the number of children held in places of detention and prevent deprivation of liberty before it occurs, including addressing the root causes and pathways leading to deprivation of liberty and in a systemic and holistic manner. The study was initiated by the UN General Assembly resolution adopted in December 2014. Its findings are based on 12 regional and thematic consultations, questionnaires requesting data from every UN member state, comprehensive reviews of literature on the subject, and an additional research by expert groups. In addition, the study consulted 274 children and young adults, 204 males and 70 female between the ages of 10 and 24 on their views and perspectives to inform the findings. The NGO panel for the global study on the Children Deprived of Liberty was established in 2013 and includes 170 local, national, and international non-governmental organizations worldwide. The panel participated in the study and coordinates efforts by NGOs to carry through on its findings. The members of the NGO panel urge governments to carry out the global study's recommendations. These include collecting reliable and systematic data on the children deprived of liberty and creating national action plans aimed at overall reduction in number of children in detention and or the elimination of detention for children. The NGO panel government's members also urge the General Assembly to formally designate a UN entity to lead follow-up efforts. There you go. OFAN and Jer Bear's activism channels are recommending that this be what pro-lifers work on for the time being instead of restricting abortion. All right, so tweet with us. No wall ever. Act on fads. Talk to you soon. Mwah.